Intamin blitzes are the model of the future. I mean, look at it. It's taken the enthusiast community by storm. Velocicoaster is the talk of the day. I mean, it's my #1 coaster as of now. Pantheon also opened this past year, but that was okay to say the least. 3 more editions are planned for next year, so it really shows the exciting future this model has to offer. In today's video, we'll be counting down the 15 Intamin blitz coasters on a scale from worst to best. And also, by the way, a lot of these blitzes have amazing theming. I will account for that, so suck it, Pantheon. In the number 15 spot is Cheetah Hunt. Now this is probably not too surprising. It is the most tame and mellow blitz out there and is consistently why it gets called a family coaster. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing. Cheetah Hunt is still very good. The crow's nest looks beautiful and those S-bends are literally a mini version of I-305. Of course you also have that heartline roll and that is also pretty solid, but just the fact that a family coaster pulls these forces and is just this much pure fun is why it's such a good coaster, though it still falls behind the other blitzes. One more thing is this has old trains, so it has those hard over the shoulder restraints, but nevertheless it's one of the best family coasters in the world, but still falls behind all the other Intamin blitzes out there. The number 14 spot goes to a coaster that is very similar to Cheetah Hunt in terms of layout, and that is Light of Revenge at Happy Valley. I mean, this layout is very similar to Cheetah Hunt, like very similar. It has the Windcatcher Tower or whatever you want to call it, it has a similar roll, heck it even has those mini S-bend turns, it's pretty much the same thing. But there are 2 reasons why it beats Cheetah Hunt. Number 1 is theming. This coaster absolutely blows Cheetah Hunt out of the water for theming. Get it? Cheetah Hunt has no water anymore? Okay, that was not funny.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
But yeah, Light of Revenge has amazing theming and it looks to be on the level of Universal and Disney. The second reason is that these are new-gen Intamin trains, so the lap bars are way more comfortable than the hard over-the-shoulder restraints, and that's why Light of Revenge is better than Cheetah Hunt and falls in the 14th spot. Next up in the number 13 spot is Steel Dolphin at Shanghai Haicheng Ocean Park. This Intamin blitz is also on the more mellow side, however it definitely is more forceful than Cheetah Hunt and Light of Revenge. There are some good elements like a top hat and an outer ring, but it's nothing out of this world. It also just pulls more forces altogether and can feel a tad bit more exciting. Also, as a cherry on top, you have your very questionable Chinese theming. You go into a shark's mouth, and that's cool I guess, but most of this coaster is just flying over the walkways. But since it's more intense than the previous coasters, Steel Dolphin falls into the number 13 spot. Next up is an Intamin blitz that's actually in Turkey, and that's Nefeskesen at PhantasiaLand. I definitely botched that. Unlike the previous 3 coasters, this blitz pulls some very good forces. You have that top hat and overbank that Steel Dolphin had, but you also have a pair of inversions thrown in. Everything generally hits on this ride and it can be quite intense, but the one thing plaguing it from being god tier is the duration. This coaster is over in a flash. That does help the pacing, but it still negatively impacts this coaster, and I just wish there was a little more to it. In the number 11 spot is Soaring with Dragon at Hefty Sunac Land. This Intamin blitz does pull some very good forces with an amazing layout. Like, look at the sequence of elements. You have a multi-plash launch that comes with an airtime hill and a good vertical spike, you have a non-inverting loop, and you have a inverted top hat. That's an insane series of elements. But like Nefeskesen, the one problem this coaster has, it is so short, like incredibly short. There definitely should be a second launch on this coaster because it kind of feels like a Skyrocket 2 in the sense that you just get up to speed to finish the coaster, or like Accelerator and the fact that it's a one-trick pony with the launch. Once again, I'm just wishing there was a little bit more. The top 10 starts off with all speeds at Sunac Land Chengdu. Coasters like these make me want to go to China. This coaster is very similar to Taron. The layout is near identical, and as an added bonus, it has very good theming. Like, once again, on the level of Disney and Universal. However, that does not mean it's better. For some random reason, the trains on this coaster run a lot slower and the forces are a lot more mellow. Yes, that does hinder the ride experience quite a bit, but hey, still a solid coaster with amazing theming. In the number 9 spot is iSpeed. Now this coaster is a bit weird. It has amazing forces, like really good forces. The problem is the forces might be too good, or the restraints just suck. This blitz has those hard over the shoulder restraints that kind of ruins this ride. The transitions on the coaster are amazing, and that means whip, and you know what an immense amount of whip means. It means that there is headbang, and you know what that means. Yeah, everyone hates it now. But I would tell you it's the good type of pain. At least it's coming from a good coaster design and not square wheels. Another thing is, this coaster kind of dies out in the second half, but in all honesty, the first half is so amazing that this coaster beats all the other ones on this list so far. The The number 8 spot goes to Taron at PhantasiaLand. This coaster is very famous for its immaculate theming. It might be the best on any coaster ever. While the layout may not be amazing, the theming definitely makes up for it. Like all speeds, this coaster does not have any inversions, but just a series of airtime moments that consistently pump out negative Gs, and unlike all speeds, it hauls through the layout, so you really get the bang for your buck on this ride. And the theming, I could talk about it forever. For these reasons, Taron solidifies itself in the number 8 spot. Next up in the 7th spot is the newest Intamin Blitz, Pantheon. Now Pantheon was quite underwhelming when it opened, right? Maybe it's just the me thing. Nevertheless, it stands up quite well against all the other Blitzes. Pantheon has these super massive elements that just make it an amazing ride. Of course, you have that swing launch with the airtime hill and spike, you have a top hat, a 0 G stall, an outer banked airtime hill, you really have it all. From positive Gs to negative Gs to hang time, it's just a very well balanced coaster that delivers in all aspects. The one problem though is it sits on the ugliest possible piece of dirt ever. I don't think I need to rant on about this too much, you probably heard it from everyone everywhere, but yeah, it does hurt the potential this coaster had. The 6th spot goes to a coaster that started it all, or the coaster that ended the coaster wars, or the single-handedly most influential coaster of all time.
Well, that's debatable.
Maverick. Cedar Point really did such an amazing job with this coaster. It has one of the best layouts ever. Launches are super punchy, there's amazing airtime, and the whip is there. This coaster is so intense, so compact, and just so good. Do I need to say more? I legit cannot even think how insane this would be if the Heartline rule was still there. But even without it, it remains to be a top tier coaster that truly can compete with everyone. The number 5 spot is Red Fire at Gordon Adasi. Now this is a clone of Ice Speed. Remember the one that was good but was ruined because of headbanging? Yeah, that one. It's the same layout, so it has all the crazy intensity and whip that we talked about before. The thing is, this coaster does not have the hard over the shoulder restraints. It has lap bars. The forces go so hard, dude. With just the lap bar, the airtime and laterals are accentuated, and it's just so perfect. This also has the best pacing out of all the Intamin Blitzes out there, so you can really see what we are dealing with. Yes, you see it's true, the restraint can really make or break a ride. Next up in the 4th spot is Taiga. This is one of the most well-rounded Blitz layouts out there, and yes, it's more well-rounded than Velocicoaster. 3 out of the 4 inversions this coaster has are world class. The barrel is the only thing that is subpar, but not to say it's terrible. This coaster has amazing theming and pacing, but it doesn't just focus on this. It has everything ever, and that's why it's so well-rounded. The one complaint with this coaster is that there is a rough spot. Every Blitz we have talked about and will talk about are glass smooth. Taiga is the only one that has roughness, and it's just in a small section, so it doesn't really matter, but I had to point this out. Because Taiga is very well rounded and has amazing versions and airtime, it falls into the number 4 spot. Starting off our top 3 is Velocicoaster. Now Velocicoaster is absolutely crazy. It's a lot of people's number 1, and that is for good reason. The layout on Velocicoaster is near perfect. You have the first twister segment and the Raptor paddock, and then all the big inversions outside over the park. Going into this, I thought the Raptor paddock would be bad, but I found it to be surprisingly enjoyable with lots of airtime. And when you hit that second launch, boy does this ride show what it can do. The top hat has amazing airtime, the gwazi stall is elite, and the Mosasaurus roll? Don't even get me started. Single-handedly the best inversion in the world. This layout is very good. It's a lot of airtime focused elements, but there's a good amount of whip and laterals from the amazing pacing. But the best part is that it has theming. A world-class coaster with world-class theming. Do I need to say more? I think it's very safe to say that Velocicoaster is going to stay as my number 1, and for a very long time, and it finishes as the 3rd best Intamin Blitz. The silver medal goes to an unbuilt coaster, and that is Toutatis. Now of course this isn't built yet, so it's entirely speculation. Toutatis will have the best airtime out of all the Intamin Blitzes. This coaster will have a whopping 23 airtime moments, and to put that into perspective, that's twice as much as Pantheon. The pacing and forces that this coaster will deliver will be absolutely insane, especially in that second half. And to once again add the cherry on top, there's good theming. What else could you possibly ask for? I have no idea. I'm really excited to see how this coaster will ride when it opens, but there's still another Intamin Blitz that is better, or is going to be better. The best Intamin Blitz in the world is Batman Gotham City Escape coming to Park Warner Madrid. This is also a new for 2023 unbuilt Intamin Blitz. This specific coaster probably has the most unique layout of the genre. I mean, look at it. It has a vertical spike for a final brake run. That's sick. You'll see the same intensity of forces compared to other blitzes like Velocicoaster and Toutatis. Additionally, the inversions of this blitz are unlike any of the others. It has a dive loop that looks to be absolutely insane. Beyond that, you have rolls, 0G stalls, and a whole bunch of airtime moments. I feel like this took all the collective best part of each prior Intamin blitz and meshed them together into one amazing masterpiece. Also, the theming should be pretty good on this too. I mean, just looking at the trains has me in a daze. So why is this better than Toutatis? It's just a more unique experience. In all honesty, the race for the best Intamin blitz is so close, and we just have to see how this year unwinds, because I honestly feel like each coaster could take the title. And those are the Intamin blitzes of the world for you, ranked from worst to best. This is definitely one of the best models out there with RMC iBox and the B&M Hyper model. It's a glass smooth experience with amazing forces. Let me know if you agree with my decisions in the comment section below. That's all for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.